Why does your lower back hurt after deadlifts? Because your form is destroying your spine. This causes dangerous pressure on your lower back. Why is your spine under so much stress? Because rounded deadlifts compress the vertebrae. This causes disc damage over time. Why do people feel pain after one bad rep? Because the lower back absorbs all the force. This causes inflammation and muscle strain. Why are your deadlifts unsafe? Because you keep making these 10 mistakes. This causes constant lower back stress. Why is the bar drifting forward? Because you are pulling too far from your body. This causes extra stress on the spine. Why should the bar stay close? Because close bar paths protect your lower back. This causes stronger and safer deadlifts. Why does your deadlift feel unstable? Because you are turning it into a squat. This causes poor leverage and spinal stress. Why is this setup correct? Because your hips and shoulders are aligned properly. This causes better power and spinal stability. Why is the rounded back dangerous? Because spinal flexion increases disc pressure. This causes serious lower back injuries. Why is a neutral spine important? Because proper alignment distributes the load safely. This causes stronger and pain-free lifting. Why should you stop looking up during deadlifts? Because your neck loses neutral alignment. This causes extra stress through the spine. Why is a neutral neck better? Because your spine stays fully aligned. This causes safer and stronger movement. Why is jerking the bar dangerous? Because explosive pulling shocks the spine. This causes lower back injuries fast. Why should you build tension first? Because tight muscles stabilize the entire body. This causes smoother and safer deadlifts. Why is lifting without bracing risky? Because your core becomes unstable under load. This causes dangerous spinal movement. Why should you brace your core hard? Because abdominal pressure protects the spine. This causes better strength and stability. Why is leaning back at lockout bad? Because it compresses the lower spine. This causes unnecessary lumbar stress. Why is this lockout correct? Because the glutes finish the movement naturally. This causes safer spinal alignment. Why should your arms stay relaxed? Because deadlifts are driven by the hips. This causes less stress on the biceps. Why are straight arms important? Because your arms work like strong hooks. This causes more efficient pulling mechanics. Why is ego lifting dangerous? Because heavy weight destroys your form. This causes serious lower back stress. Why is too much weight a problem? Because your spine cannot stabilize the load. This causes vertebrae compression and pain. Why should you master lighter weights first? Because good form builds safe movement patterns. This causes long-term strength gains. Why is no hip hinge dangerous? Because your spine bends instead of your hips. This causes heavy lower back pressure. Why does spinal bending increase injury risk? Because the vertebrae lose stable alignment. This causes disc stress during the lift. Why is the hip hinge important? Because the hips generate most of the power. This causes safer and stronger deadlifts. Why should you follow a deadlift checklist? Because small details protect your spine. This causes better lifting consistency. Why does grip strength matter? Because weak grip affects total body tension. This causes unstable pulling mechanics. Why is spinal alignment critical? Because aligned vertebrae distribute force safely. This causes less lower back stress. Why should you brace before every rep? Because a strong core protects the spine. This causes powerful and stable lifting. Why should the bar stay close to your legs? Because short bar paths reduce spinal pressure. This causes safer and stronger pulls. Why is this lockout perfect? Because the hips finish the lift naturally. This causes stable spinal positioning. Why are controlled reps important? Because slow movement improves body control. This causes cleaner and safer technique. Why are deadlifts actually safe? Because proper form protects the spine. This causes strength without lower back pain. Why does good form look different? Because healthy mechanics protect every joint. This causes safer long-term progress. Why is this deadlift powerful? Because the entire posterior chain works together. This causes maximum strength and stability. Why should you fix your form now? Because bad habits become harder to correct. This causes chronic lower back problems. Why do technique details matter? Because every position affects spinal safety. This causes more efficient lifting mechanics. Why is this personal record safer? Because perfect form controls the heavy load. This causes strength without unnecessary injuries. Why should you lift smart every time? Because technique protects your body long-term. This causes safer progress and better strength. Why does grip preparation matter? Because strong hands improve total body tension. This causes more controlled deadlifts. Why should you create tension before pulling? Because tight muscles stabilize the spine. This causes smoother and safer movement. Why does perfect form look powerful? Because balanced mechanics generate maximum force. This causes stronger and safer lifting. Why is rounded posture dangerous? Because spinal alignment becomes unstable under load. This causes higher risk of injury. Why should you master the hip hinge? Because the hips should drive the movement. This causes less pressure on the spine. Why should you lower the bar slowly? Because controlled descent protects the lower back. This causes safer movement mechanics. Why is strong posture important? Because stable positioning protects the spine. This causes better lifting efficiency. Why is the posterior chain so important? Because these muscles support the entire lift. This causes stronger and safer deadlifts. Why should you focus before every lift? Because mental preparation improves body control. This causes cleaner and safer technique. Why is balanced movement important? Because symmetry keeps the spine stable. This causes smoother and safer lifting. Why should you correct your form early? Because small mistakes become dangerous habits. This causes long-term lower back problems. Why is a healthy spine so important? Because your vertebrae carry the entire load. This causes safer and stronger movement. Why does perfect technique matter so much? Because every position protects your spine. This causes powerful and efficient deadlifts. Why should you train smart consistently? Because good habits build long-term strength. This causes steady progress without injuries. Why is this lockout powerful and safe? Because the hips finish the movement correctly. This causes stable spinal alignment. Why should you master every technique detail? Because small adjustments protect your lower back. This causes safer and stronger performance. Why does discipline beat motivation? Because consistency builds perfect movement patterns. This causes long-term strength gains. Why should you always lift smart? Because proper mechanics protect your spine. This causes safer progress over time. Why is this deadlift so stable? Because every muscle works together correctly. This causes maximum power and control. Why should you fix your form today? Because your spine remembers every bad rep. This causes future pain if ignored. Why is preparation important before heavy lifts? Because setup determines your spinal position. This causes safer and stronger deadlifts. Why should you engage your lats? Because tight lats stabilize the upper body. This causes better spinal control. Why does foot position matter? Because stable feet create balanced force transfer. This causes stronger lifting mechanics. Why is an unstable stance dangerous? Because poor balance stresses the joints and spine. This causes weaker and riskier pulls. Why should shoulders stay over the bar? Because correct alignment improves leverage. This causes safer pulling mechanics. Why is bad shoulder positioning risky? Because unstable leverage overloads the lower back. This causes extra spinal stress. Why should you breathe deeply before lifting? Because breathing creates powerful core pressure. This causes better spinal protection. Why is a loose upper back dangerous? Because weak tension destabilizes the spine. This causes poor deadlift mechanics. Why is full body tension important? Because tight muscles protect every joint. This causes smoother and stronger lifting. Why should your core stay locked? Because a strong core stabilizes the spine. This causes safer heavy deadlifts. Why is pulling too fast dangerous? Because uncontrolled force shocks the spine. This causes serious lower back stress. Why is a controlled pull safer? Because smooth movement keeps the spine stable. This causes stronger and cleaner deadlifts. Why does a healthy lower back matter? Because the spine supports every heavy lift. This causes long-term strength and stability. Why does bad form damage the spine? Because pressure crushes the lumbar discs. This causes pain and serious injuries. Why should you use your glutes more? Because strong glutes protect the lower back. This causes safer hip-driven movement. Why are weak glutes a problem? Because the lower back compensates for the load. This causes spinal overuse and pain. Why is posture so important after lifting? Because spinal alignment controls recovery and stability. This causes healthier movement patterns. Why does discipline beat ego lifting? Because controlled training builds safer technique. This causes long-term progress without injuries. Why does perfect technique look powerful? Because efficient mechanics maximize force safely. This causes stronger and safer deadlifts. Why should you subscribe for more form fixes? Because proper technique protects your body forever. This causes safer training and bigger strength gains.